I was not your family, I was a stranger to you once, but you treated me like we had the same blood. I drove up to a cabin, to Wisconsin in the woods. We shot fireworks and drank till we felt good, and the sky was clear in that summer air. You showed me so much kindness I do not understand. Puts that kind of soul inside a man. And you always say the same thing, we believe in you. It was a little thing for us that we just wanted to do. The night I met your family, the night I met your friends, there were plates of buttered shrimp and hungry hands. And as the fireworks were dying, the whiskey shots were flying, at 2 a.m. something's cooking in the oven. The sun is rising in the eastern sky. You showed me so much kindness I do not understand. Puts that kind of soul inside a man. And you always say the same thing, we believe in you. It was a little thing for us that we just wanted to do. Someday I'll make you proud, as proud as I am now. When I think of that day I smile clear and loud. And I always say the same thing, God sent those folks to me to clear some brush off of the path to Tennessee, and to help me be the man I want to be. You showed me so much kindness I do not understand. Who puts that kind of soul inside a man? And now you always say the same thing, we believe in you. It was a little thing for us that we just wanted to do. took for me to get a little closer, babe. One kiss is all you did to make me fall in love. One heart shot in the dark made you take a big chance and see. One moment I was hoping you would fall for me, eyes wide open. To me this is heaven. I don't need a lot of anything if I have your love. No money, no fancy things could replace all the hurting, the loving, and all that's in between. If I have you, my love, I don't need anything. I don't need anything. One word is all I heard for me to say it right back to you. One feeling kept me dreaming of all we could do, eyes wide open. To me this is heaven. I don't need a lot of anything if I have your love. No money, no fancy things could replace all the hurting, the loving, and all that's in between. If I have you, my love, I don't need anything. I don't need anything. I don't need anything. I don't need anything. I don't need a lot of anything if I have your love. No money, no fancy things could replace all the hurting, the loving, and all that's in between. If I have you, my love, I don't need anything. I don't need anything.
Shut up, you've been hurt one too many times before. Ended up staring in the bathroom mirror, crying on your bedroom floor. Baby, you can take my word, you haven't gotta hurt no more. Things about to get much better. I wanna make this forever. I wanna make this forever. Shit that you felt lost 100 times before. Going in circles on a one-way street, running till your feet get sore. But I guess you haven't heard, you ain't gotta run no more. Things about to get much better, so I wanna make this forever. I wanna make this forever.
grace will be enough when my eyes can't see what you have prepared for me. Grace will be enough. The strength is rising as I wait patiently. Your words, they comfort me. Strength is rising. Lift up your heads, you weary souls. Our God is not done yet. Our King will come with the morning light, bringing joy to the darkest of night. Carry on, you pilgrims. Don't lose heart, for the journey is long. At the end of your wanderings, lift your hands and bless the Lord. Carry on, you pilgrims. Don't lose heart, His strength will still come. At the end of your wanderings, you'll see the grace that He giveth and giveth and giveth again. The word will be enough when I cannot hear, when I start to fear. Your word will be enough. Your voice will lead me in when I can't escape to the quiet place. Your voice will lead me in. Lift up your heads, you weary souls. Our God is not done yet. Our King will come with the morning light, bringing joy to the darkest of night. Carry on, you pilgrims. Don't lose heart, for the journey is long. At the end of your wanderings, lift your hands and bless the Lord. Carry on, you pilgrims. Don't lose heart, His strength will still come. At the end of your wanderings, you'll see the grace that He giveth and giveth and giveth again. Set your face to Zion and see great things has our God yet to bring. Every step I will choose to believe that your promise is unraveling. Set your face to Zion and see great things has our God yet to bring. Every step I will choose to believe that your promise is unraveling. Carry on, you pilgrims. Don't lose heart, the journey is long. At the end of your wandering, lift your hands and bless the Lord. Carry on. lose heart, his strength will still come. At the end of your wanderings, you'll see the grace that he giveth and giveth and giveth again. Still think about that empty field, just you and me, and time to kill. First kiss I didn't know would come. You laughing at my stupid jokes, both of us wishing we were old right then, 'cause we knew it was love. And everybody says take it slow, but I think it's true when you know, you know. Yeah, we could be dancing all night, waking up for the sunrise, late 'cause we're losing track of time. Yeah, we're in young love, 'cause when I'm with you it feels like falling in love for the first time. It'll always be true. Yeah, I know we're in young love. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, I know we're in young love. Slow dancing in the parking lot, up talking until 5 o'clock, when we got class at 8 a.m. When I'm with you it all makes sense. I finally get what they all meant by falling in love with your best friend. Yeah, I know they probably think I'm crazy, but I don't care, none of it can faze me. Yeah, we could be dancing all night, waking up for the sunrise, late 'cause we're losing track of time. Yeah, we're in young love, 'cause when I'm with you it feels like falling in love for the first time. It'll always be true. Yeah, I know we're in young love. Oh, oh, yeah, I know we're in young love. 'Cause we might be young, doesn't mean that we're wrong. Yeah, I think I finally found the one. Can't see it all, but somehow I know that we'll keep on falling in young love. Yeah, we'll keep on dancing all night, waking up for the sunrise. It'll always be you and I. Yeah, we could be dancing all night, waking up for the sunrise, late 'cause we're losing track of time. Who cares? It's young love. 'Cause when I'm with you it feels like falling in love for the last time. It'll always be you, 'cause I know this is real love. Oh, oh, it'll always be you. Yeah, I know we're in young love. Oh, oh, it'll always be you. Yeah, I know we're in young love.
I had it all figured out, knew which road I would go.